Yo, it's Kit, things are about to get fun now. Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Game The Chronicles, the following of Virtuous Episode 5, follows Albaz and Ecclesia as they're continuing their trek through the desert, though things are starting to get a bit difficult with how much they've been traveling, but unfortunately for them it seems like they're also being watched. But that is when we go tally-ho Springans and they're met by, well, you know, the Springans. So after the title screen we cut to them tied up on the ship, and Kid is also there hanging out, not necessarily getting them untied, but reconvening with Mercurier who actually had a message inside of it. And while the Springans around them are a little agitated, or at least, you know, maybe a bit competitive, Kit reads a message that came from Farigid and understands what exactly is going on, basically realizing that these guys are okay. So we get a little more understanding of everybody, as the Springans are a bunch of robots, kind of, who just really like to hunt treasure, and oh, also, by the way, they're aboard this ship, the Exablower, which looks really cool in motion, and Kit happens to be their mechanic, an acquaintance of the Tri-Brigade, or a former member. So while Ecclesia and Albaz just want safe passage, or at least some protection that they were told they would get, Kit doesn't get to make that final decision. That all is up to Captain Sargaz, who explains that for the moment they can be provisional members, but they can officially join and thus get their protection if they win the race. Yeah, we hear about it a little here and there, a big old treasure hunting race that the Springans hold, so that is where we find ourselves for most of the rest of the episode. A little montage of Ecclesia and Albaz helping out around the ship, and some very nice scenery that they get to enjoy in the morning. I do also want to mention I absolutely love the music that is used in this episode. Really, I think that has been one of the highlights throughout this series, but now that we're starting to explore a lot of other locations and characters, we get some really interesting diverse music that is very different from where we started. I do also want to say the animation continues to look pretty good. The one thing that kind of bothered me is all the Springans are 3D animated, something I understand because they have mechanical bodies, and we had seen 3D in action sequences of other episodes that work pretty well, but I feel like for characters like this who don't really move a whole lot, it is kind of distracting. Again, 3D animation really does make sense when you have to have these complex shapes moving around and keep them consistent, so I understand it for the action sequences, but for the characters like the Springans who don't really move all that much, you know, I'm not going to complain about it much more, but I will say I don't think they blended in very well. And for some of the race that we do get to see when Albaz and Ecclesia are on Sprin the Iron Dash Dragon, they do use 3D animation and it works really well. What I don't think doesn't work that well is that we barely see any of a race. Sure, there is a bit of it and then crossing the finish line and winning everything and there with the treasure, but I think the fact that it was kind of like the main conflict introduced for the episode, and then to have it resolved so quickly and easily, kind of made it fall a bit flat. So yeah, for a moment like this, I think it is where the length of the overall episodes in the series are starting to hurt it. I'm not saying that we needed like a full movie of this race or that it needed to be on the same level as the pod racing sequence from Star Wars, but I don't know, with the space they had in the desert here, they definitely could have done a bit more. Thankfully, that isn't the only action we're going to get here, because the episode does end off on a cliffhanger as Golgonda, the serpent, rises up from the sand, and yeah, that is something we'll deal with next episode. But for the moment, yeah, I thought this was a really fun episode, I did enjoy it, Kit was really fun and so were the Springans, and the desert area felt really nice and bright and so different from what we had seen before, and the music really elevated everything. I will say out of any episode, this is one that I think really did need to be like a whole 20 minutes. That is about all you would have needed. The first 10 minutes or so to get us all acquainted and set up, and then the final 10 minutes could have been the race and the resolution. But let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you're enjoying the series so far. Even though the episodes are only like 6 or 7 minutes, at least they are longer than Mr. Beast Labs. This video was a bit late coming, I've just been really busy finishing up the month and of course focusing on the main channel as we just got a new Pokemon game. I know I talk about it all the time, but I just want to say that look guys, we're at like 99,000 subscribers on GatorX, the main channel, so if you are even vaguely interested in Pokemon, your support over there would be great because we're almost at our own finish line. Anyway, this is GatorX, thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you all later.